Hello? Hello. Now, hopefully, I've either nailed this with the settings or I've got it completely wrong. Yeah, exactly. It might have gone completely the wrong way. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. We are back live once again for some GT4 action here at Monza, the Temple of Speed, home of Italy, home of Ferrari, and home of anything fast in motorsport. My name's Dan Davis, and joining me once again in the commentary box is my good friend Lexi Marshall. Lexi, how are we doing this fine evening? Looking forward to a great race, great night's worth of racing for the Genettis here at the Temple of Speed. And of course, obviously, what we're trying to do as well is I've been messing around with the settings. So hopefully, what you guys will be seeing will be roughly correct what comes up on the stream as well. If it isn't, then please, once again, guys, let me know and I'll try something else. But I think I've got my head around it. If not, then please, obviously, say we'll try and run it as best as we can. But as I said, Monza, obviously the home of Ferrari, home of Temple of Speed, and like you said, some iconic circuit corners around here. Obviously, the two Lesmos, Ascari, and obviously Parabolica as well, the Curva Grande, and obviously the two chicanes. I do know the names, but I can never pronounce them, so I'm not even going to attempt to try and pronounce them. Obviously, the way this works, Lexi, as well, we got ballast introduced now. Obviously, the touring cars back in the day, with the success, you added ballast on top of the cars. In this case, we have the success ballast on once again for this season. And being in the same car championship, I think it's really going to hurt some of these cars, aren't they? For sure. And as you can see on the screen as well, onto the right hand side is the yellow numbers. Obviously, those represent the weight that they're carrying on board. Obviously, Tordok Championship leader is carrying that full weight, so he's got plus 40 kilos on board. 35 kilos then goes the way of Sylph. No Zampolini tonight. He would have 30 kilos. 25 kilos for Duffin. O'Reilly's got 20. Then we have Hooper on 15, Matt Wright on 10, and then Kalsef on 5. Obviously, top 8 because we can go only maximum to 40 kilos. So we'll see how that all pans out. And hopefully, like I said, with the way that things work out, we should see really those drivers start to struggle. But speaking of the championship standings, this is how it looks after round 1 at Zolder. It's Tordok who leads the way with Sylph in that second place. Zampolini, Duffin with O'Reilly, Hooper, Wright, and Kalsef, as we said, in your top 8. The first couple of cars now are not obviously got weight on board, and that's Will Friedman is currently sat 9th at the minute in the championship as you go on board with another driver there. Darren Yo currently sat 10th with Carlos in 11th. Hoffner down in 12th position with Snai sat in 13th place position. McGowan with 14th and Ramsell in 15th. Skunky then is in 16th place position with Gary Carble in 17th. Langley in 18th with Bolton in 19th. Bell 20th with Old Sim Racer in 21st. Fernie 22nd. Aberdeen in 23rd. Tipping in 24th. And Varga 25th. Millington 26th with Cranes in 27th. Marsden in 28th. Archer 29th. Taylor 30th with Williams in 31st. Goudet 32nd. Smith 33rd. Johnson 34th. Betterson 35th. Stardard in 36th, and Kneebone is going to be joining us tonight in 37th position. And I believe we've also got another new driver as well. If I go back to the weekly roundup, I believe we do have another driver with us tonight, which should be Cherry Moore, apparently. Or is it? Yes, we do. Cherry Moore currently on track, also making their debut. Rob Smith making this 100th race start as well in the first race of these Ginettas. Regarding the team's championship, that is going the way of Dapper Racing. Currently lead the way with that is your boys of Hoopert and O'Reilly, and they're leading the way at the moment in the team championship with MSA in second, Ballbusters Racing in third, with SimPlay Racing in fourth, and then you got CT Motorsport with Quantum Motorsport in sixth, Full Send. We'll go with Full Send because I can't even read the last. Jordlands, I'm going to go with in seventh, with Greasy Bandits in eighth. Then it's a team, a GBR in ninth, with Team RRM, GD Racing in 11th, Roadrunner Motors in 12th, OWR Racing in 13th, then Team Piston Pounders in 14th, Team Tom in 15th, Sodor Racing in 16th, Blunt Force Racing in 17th, 18th is Team FBR, and in 19th is 2Cs Racing, OGR, Team Autosport, and CGT Motorsport still yet to score points. So that's the roundup of the championship standings, Lexius. We've got now 3 minutes left to go into the very, very fast qualifying sessions. Obviously, early stages of the championship, but after the first race that we saw at Zolder and then coming into this one, still yet to play for, obviously, with the ballast on board. But who are you looking at this season to really be the main championship protagonist in this championship? Yeah, definitely indeed. And I think as well, what you got to look at is the MSA boys, especially the likes of O'Reilly and Hooper. Yeah, those two as well. Dapper Racing, they're very, very competitive. And at the minute, as you can see, top three at the minute they are. And especially O'Reilly carrying on that consistency from last season in the GT4s and then winning the championship in that McLaren. He's a very strong contender, and he did drive the actual Ginetta a few seasons ago. So for me, my eyes are purely set on what O'Reilly can do. But we are now going into the qualifying session as these guys finish their last couple of laps here, and qualifying is key. The first one is only a 10-minute qualifying session, and then we follow it up by a couple of races, followed by then a short practice session. It's been shortened this time round to 5 minutes, so we don't have too long a break, and then we have 2 7-minute qualifying sessions. And on a circuit like this, where they're nearly 2 minutes a lap, it's going to be important to get those laps in. Before we, though, carry on with any more of tonight's action, I want to hear everybody in the chat. It seems very, very quiet in the chat tonight, so please feel free to drop some messages in the chat. Lexi's the only one to chat in there at the minute. Where do you think the most chaos is going to come? And also, while I'm at it, I want to also say thank you to our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. And if you look in the description below on your video, all that information is on there. So Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page. Also, Audio Sports, Volkswagen, manufacturers of Volkswagen products on audio solutions and styling products. So head over to their website, www.audiosport.co.uk. If you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, then head over to our Sim Grid, where all of our information is there. And once you sign up to the Sim Grid, then we will ask you to do a hot stint. Obviously, certain categories may not need you to do the hot stint, but it's the best way so that we can suit you best to your ability of drivers. And obviously, you can see we have categorized all drivers. They are slightly wrong for some reason. The G Portal was being a bit of a bum today. So we will get that assessed and changed come next time out. But yeah, that is how everything is going to pan out. So please, if you do want to be a part of the action, head over to the Sim Grid and be a part of the Discord as well. Whew, that's that. Right, let's see. Prediction on pole for the first qualifying section. Well, you're going to go with Tordok. I'm actually going to go the way of O'Reilly. I think O'Reilly is going to put it on pole position, but we shall see as they all come flooding out right now. And like I said, it's important for them to find as much space as possible, get some clean air, or maybe another question that we haven't talked about, Lexi, slipstream, the toe. How important is the toe going to be? As hello, Dan, in the chat. I hope you are well. And yes, we are very well. Getting ready for some GT4 action. How important is the toe going to be, Lexi? What do you think? See, for me, I don't think it is. Some of the guys have been telling me when they've been testing and practicing that actually the toe it doesn't necessarily help them too much because the Ginetta is already topping out halfway down the main straight. So we shall see. And I'm going to test my sinking ability and see how well I've done because we are now on board with Tordok. And I really do hope that I've nailed this. I probably haven't, but we'll go with it anyway. So we head down the main straight now underneath that very famous podium and then down towards turn number 1. Obviously, you can already hear the car wanting to bottom out as it's going all the way down the straight, looking for that 150-meter board, braking just past it, and then getting yourself turned in to 1. Making sure you open up 2 as best you possibly can. Not take too much curb because it will unsettle the car. And make sure you get a good exit out of there. Heading into the curve of Grande. Now, and then again, you don't want to be drifting out too wide because you're making more of a distance as you're going wider. But as you cut in tighter, you then give yourself a good opportunity to then get as far over to the right-hand side, famously where Alonso and Vettel ran really close as you then head into the chicane. Bouncing over the chicane as best you possibly can, staying in second gear, get a good launch out of the first sector of sector 2, and then into Lesmo 1. Slightly banked, get the front turned in, a late entry, and then have a nice run exit out of that corner. Now into Lesmo 2, brake at the 50 board, drop down 1 gear, dip in as well, try and get the car hooked in onto the curb, and then make sure you have a good run as you then head down towards the back straight underneath the famous old circuit, the old banking, as we go underneath there. I really do hope that this is synced perfectly, but I doubt it. Under the bridge, braking into the famous Ascari chicane. Really easy to get this wrong, but Inicia Ginetto should be able to abuse the curb over the first bit, over the second, and into the third. Carry too much speed, you'll get flung out and onto the gravel, and then lose a massive amount of time. Now, the final straight down here, and Parabolica, or I believe it's renamed, I can't remember the rename of it, but Parabolica, final corner. It can all go wrong here. Brake at the 50 board, get down 2 gears, turn the front end, and try and grip up. The car will naturally want to drift out wide. It's sliding, it's snaking. You want to get it back to the inside, the shortest run to the line, and then you head towards the start-finish line, where famously people have taken their maiden wins and across the line. Tordok sets the pace of a 57.4. That is a lap of Monza. There's been a couple of changes as well in some of the camp. Obviously, Will Friedman has stayed with Cloud9, but obviously Clouden has not joined the group. So Sny has moved to Cloud9 with him, but they've kept the colors of the white, green, and red as they now come into the last few bits of the qualifying session. We've got 4.5 minutes left, and we're on board with Sny at the minute. But we look towards the front of this pack. It is Tordok who's now coming to that famous final corner of the Parabolica. Into the corner he goes, currently 5th at the minute with that ballast on board. Has he found that time? That is the question. And they run down the main straight, and I believe Duffin's not too far behind, probably getting a little bit of a toe, but to the line. Here comes Tordok. Does he improve? Yes, he does. He goes fastest of them all. To the line goes Duffin, only 9th for that lifetime. But Darren Yo really putting a solid lap time on the board there as McGowan improves once again to go P4, and O'Reilly now tops the session. 0.02 of a second. Not sure. As Gary Leach now crosses the line, he goes into P6. So these times are coming in thick and fast, Lexi. Top 15 are within a second. This is how close it is. Nice to see you in the chat there, bestie, and hope you are well. But top three separated by 10,000ths of a second. And you think around this circuit, it's nearly a 2-minute lap. And they are that close. And it's also showing how much of a good job Tordok is doing with that weight on board. As we are on board of him coming into the parabolic, and now he's got a couple of cars just ahead of him. He's got the 441, I believe that is Hooper possibly. And I can't find. Yes, it is. He comes to the line. He gets the time on the board. Is it fastest? Yes, it is. So Hooper goes fastest of them all by quite a significant amount, and Tordok does not improve. But here comes O'Reilly. Yeah, obviously the reasoning for John Goudet last time out was his Fanatec wheel, or I'm sure he was a Fanatec, died on him. And basically, he was running on the pad at Zolder, so that's why he was a little bit off the pace. He has got his Logitech all fired up and going this time round, so we'll see how he gets on. We got the 411 coming out of Parabolica. That will be Benny Archer, our Australian, coming to the line. Does not improve and stays where he is. Now we look to Hooper. Can he extend that gap in the 56 sevens? Can he get even further through that time? He does not, but we look to another 10 seconds on top of his session, so he could still yet improve. Tordok, no improvement. And once again, we look to O'Reilly, but Darren Yeo here, Lexi, seems to be the threat as O'Reilly goes top and does a 56.5 and says, there you go, boys, have that. Sny improves as well as track now goes optimum. We're currently on board with Benny Archer. He's now coming into the final corner. Can he improve on his lap time? He does not. Stays where he is. Then we got the 441. That is Hooper. It's an all dapper front row at the minute. Is he going to get in front of his teammates? No, he is not. As now Tordok comes to the line, comes to a hole, and that is his session done. That is Duffin now coming to the line. Did he improve? No, he stays 10th in the end. So that was that, and it was O'Reilly for pole. You should be able to hear you. I don't know if Bessie's just winding us up, but yeah, you're you're coming up on my Streamlabs feed, so yeah, you should hopefully be talking. I mean, you're more welcome to quickly mute yourself and hear if you're coming on the stream now, because I've got a little bit of promotions to be doing. So, guys, if you haven't done so, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm currently also typing out who you think will win this first race, but once again, I seem to nail it more than Lexi on these predictions on here, as I said Kieran O'Reilly for pole, and he does take the pole. It's an all dapper front row, though, and we'll see who will come out top. Is it the more experienced O'Reilly, or is it the young gun of Hupert? Obviously, Tordok with that weight on board, can he carry that and really do any damage? What can Sny and Yo do as well? Reminder as well, guys, if you are listening to the stream and you are a driver and you do want to be in for an interview, make sure you join the Discord later on, and we should be able to get you on for a chat afterwards. And like I said, if you haven't done so, please have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well, who support us on this channel as much as they possibly can. So there is a poll out for you guys. And hello, Mac, in the chat. And like I said, hopefully, if I've got this nailed, we should have it perfectly synced. But no, me, I've got it out by milliseconds. But yeah. They can't hear you. Okay. Okay, guys, give me 2 seconds on that one. You should be coming up on, like, I can see your voice being registered on the actual stream itself. So, and I can hear you. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why you're not being picked up. It's very strange. Like you should be. Like I said, it's the desktop, so you should be coming up on there anyway. So, hmm, lovely. Don't love it when things don't work. Is Lexi too quiet? Maybe. Let's try that. Okay, so try again, Lexi. See if we can hear you now. Obviously, there is obviously going to be a slight delay as well. So, fantastic. Well, it looks like you might have to just have to hear me yabbering on a little bit. But if you can't hear Lexi, then I don't know what the easiest fix is at this stage. Right. Okay. Yeah, you might just have to give me the information. I did. I now turned you right up. So obviously you're coming through my headset really loud now, so I've turned you down on my headset. Okay, try now. You're now full blast. I think that might have been the issue, because you're very loud on my headset, and I've turned the headset down, so maybe that's worked out. But either way, Bestie, let me know in the chat, because obviously we've done that just in the nick of time, I think. But either way, we are getting ready for the start of the first race tonight. There we go. Stupid thing was picking up the wrong mic. Fantastic. Now, try again. We're about to go green here at Monza. Both of the Dapper Racing running alongside. Wait for them to go green. And we are green and racing here at Monza as we head now down towards turn number 1. And it is O'Reilly with the jump. Oh, no, sorry. Hooper with... I can't even tell by that camera. It is Hooper and O'Reilly going into turn number 1, and Tordok has missed his brakes and he's gone into absolute chaos, and there's cars off everywhere already, and it's the MSA boys who've actually caused a little bit of chaos. Oh, and there's a car coming straight across the circuit. Absolute carnage once again here at Monza, and what do you expect? It is Monza here. That's the kind of things we expect at this road circuit. But here we go, and down towards turn number 1, turn number 2. Hopefully Lexi should be able to be heard now. He did indeed, and it all started off with Tordok just missing his brakes and getting on the grass and just touching a few cars as they are still not working for Lexi, still faint. Right, okay, right now I can't really do anything about it. We'll have to sort it out later on. But right now, down towards the chicane we go. Snai is ahead of McGowan, who's had a good start. Tordok managed to get away scot-free a little bit as O'Reilly has now got back in front of Leach, and they all try and get themselves into order. And like I said, I'll try and get I'll try and sort out Lexi as best I possibly can. John Goudet is in 13th place position, and I think Mac has said the audio is wall to wall now on mine, so I'm guessing that it has worked its way into favour. I think it might have been picking up on my headset, so hopefully it's kind of tucked away. Meanwhile, Leach has been giving O'Reilly a bit of a hard time, but Hooper, meanwhile, has been extending the gap. Snai's pulled away a little bit from Tordok as well, because Tordok has now cleared McGowan as well. So they all now starting to get in a somewhat sensible order as we got a car off further back. Not sure who that is as we go on board with one of the cars. That looks like it is the Soldor racing car of Benny Varga. He's a little bit slow and he's now about to become under pressure. But the list of things of Kalseth, is that? No, it's not Kalseth. It's Kneebone going up the inside of him. And Kneebone making a position there going into Parabolica. Get a crew out there. I like that. As we now come into the the three quarters left still go in this race, and like I said, running around trying to keep an eye on what's going on with the audio. Gary Leach, meanwhile, is on the back of O'Reilly once again. This is your closest fight at the front of the pack, and O'Reilly seems to be a little bit slower here at the minute, but Leach right on the back of him. No ballast for Leach at the minute, so he's looking quite competitive himself as you look further back. Other fights going on at the minute is quite a close fight going between Millington, Silth, and Hoffner. They're quite close as Millington trying to fend off as best they can. Yeah, he has indeed. And Gary Leach now, again, looking like he's trying to get a little bit closer, probably hitting the rev limiter, but can't quite get close enough to O'Reilly at this stage. But Hooper, meanwhile, got control of this race at the minute and pulling away quite nicely. I love how I got some of the admin in there and they're not even helping me with the sound, as I'm relying on everyone else. But down the back straight we go, and there we see Hoffner right on the back bumper of Silth. No one's even told me if I've got the syncing right, so that helps as well. But Silth now going around the outside of the Curva Grande, going into the second straight, trying to be later on the brakes. But Hoffner can't quite get the job done there. Silth slides a little bit on the exit of the second chicane, heading up to now... into the right hander. I've forgotten the name of these corners now. But into the second part again. Silth just able to keep that position at the moment. Gary Leach once again giving O'Reilly a bit of a hard time coming up to Ascari. He's up the inside. Is he going to try and send it? He's not quite close enough and has to bail out of that one. Well, it sounds like the syncing is spot on. So, go on. What? Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. One problem fixes and then the other one doesn't. So, brilliant. But Gary Leach now under some pressure from Matthew Duffin. Obviously, good friends. They're now on separate teams. So, if Leach is listening, I'm obviously owner of Team Autosport. Do not let him through. But right now, Leach trying his very best just to stay ahead of Duffin, but he's also got his eyes purely set on giving O'Reilly a hard time. Meanwhile, McGowan has actually brought the gap down a little bit to Tordok. So Tordok, with that weight, I think it's now starting to hurt him, especially with the tyres. And again, for the minute, you're just going to have to hear me blabbering on a load of rubbish. So I apologise now, Lexi. But we got, obviously, now Hoffner's made a mistake, and he's now under pressure from Yo. And Hoffner now is going to lose the position to Darren Yo, who got caught up in the first lap incident, and he's now making a recovery drive right now. Right.
Trying to figure out what. Matthew Duffin in Ascari. Big wobble.
Okay, I might have fixed it out. I think I might have fixed. I may have figured it out. But either way, hopefully you might be able to hear Lexi now. I think.
1-2 chat. Check 1-2 chat. Let me know. I think. Okay, right. I'm keeping an eye on stream. If we don't hear me by the time we get to the start-finish line, because I'm watching Matthew Duffin right now.
She might be too loud.
I will speak to Lexi, pedal to the metal, foot to the floor.
I think what happened, I had you on the wrong channel.
Yes, Lexi's back. There we go. Right, finally. Right, McGowan now is in the toe of Torok. I've been either on the wrong channel. We head now down towards turn number 1, and McGowan looking to go up the inside. I can now actually chill and commentate on the racing. Just let me know what positions you're watching, Lexi, instead of names, because it's easier if I'm the number. Woo! Finally. Right, Hofner now attacking Yo, going into turn number 1. Has he got the brakes? Not quite, and Yo gets a little bit close to Sylph there, but not quite gets the overcut.
Well, we've also got Matt Wright versus Bolt and P battle for P at number 9. It seems Langley has got through both of them actually. So P number 9 and P number 10 locked in that battle. These guys are having an absolute skirmish back here, and it's a lovely fight from what you like to see. Down into the Variante number 2, as of course chicane in Italian is Variante. Will Friedman right up behind him as well as he's coming through. As John Gooday there as well. Lesmo 1, lovely and done. That is how you do it. No up and under needed. Just a nice, simple, cheeky dive.
Oh,
as you head now down towards Escari.
Langley going very wide there and really losing a little bit of time. But as you can see, we're on board with John Gooday, who's now got Will Friedman pretty much pushing him down the main straight. Back straight, heading up towards Escari. Obviously, Will, you do not want to hit him. He's your boss, and he does. The one person you do not want to hit, and they've both gone straight on Ascari, and they now return back onto the circuit. It looks like another car's gone off. Oh, that was Matt Wright just having a moment, and I think Millington going a little bit wide, but as you can see, they are still relatively close to one another.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Here comes Will Friedman, and you've also got to be careful because all these drivers are all up against each other. Steve Millington there as well, down the inside. Oh! Contact! Round they both go, one into the barrier, one on the inside. Big evasive action there by Yo. Through goes what I do believe to be Hoffer, and it is done and dusted. Talking about ninja reflexes, because they were only millimeters apart.
Meanwhile, Lexi, as you've been watching that, we go to the front, and McGowan has got back in front of Tordok. So Tordok has lost that position. Now O'Reilly's under pressure. Gary Leach, meanwhile, has dropped behind Duffin. So here we go. Can Tordok get back past McGowan, or is he going to lose out here? O'Reilly now coming to the second chicane. Can he get the overlap on Tordok? Doesn't look like he can. But meanwhile, that is all going on. Every other fight is a little bit spread out in the midfield, but here comes Sylph now on the attack of John Gooday up towards the second chicane. Can he send it into the chicane? He's not quite close enough right now, but they get very, very close.
Seems like that is going to be an interesting one they may continue, but right now a little bit further back, like we've said, we've got Cummings, who is leading a slight little train here with 4 astern of Millington, Friedman, Marsden and Vargas. So they're coming into the Lesmos now. They got a nice little gap between them, but they are 4 astern, so they're going to be, it looks like they might be coming into this. And I am just going to point this out. We got that working at exactly the halfway point mark. Talk about timing. As right now, down into it, we do have Millington, we do have a car going through. Friedman is going to end up losing out there to what I believe is that a lapped car? No, it's Friedman. Okay, my cameras are just being weird as the battle for P number 18 concludes. Battle for P number 18 concludes there, and Millington may have a run on Cummings as very deep goes Will Friedman.
Yeah, he does indeed, and Marston right behind him, really starting to put some pressure onto the back of him. Friedman really seems to be struggling in these Ginettas, tends to use the Porsche, but we go back to the front once again, and we got Tordok, O'Reilly and McGowan all in the slipstream. They are going to be banging off the limiters as they go towards turn number 1, and you can see that O'Reilly looking to get closer and closer. These morning conditions and the nice cool conditions as well, bringing it to optimum, giving the cars grit now, but Hooper out in front has been unbelievably consistent and has not dropped a single second to Snai, but Snai has kept him honest as we continue on through the Curva Grande, but Tordok can't do anything to McGowan. Leach getting a little bit closer to Duffin once again, but we go back to that long train. Hoffner's got a bad exit with Yo now going on to the attack.
You know he's going to be right there with him onto the outside here at Curva Grande. Variante 2 is going to be there for the picking as we got a yellow flag for the number 22 down at turn number 1. And right now going into Variante 2 though, as we can never pronounce the full names, it's down the inside. Lovely move there by Yo done and dusted. If you want to see how a clean move is done, that is a perfect example right there. And that is one for the ages as the rest of the drivers seemingly coming through nice and clean. As we've also got Sturrock, who is on the back, who is in front of Johnson right now, the two C racing boys. And from what you were saying, I believe they collided. So we're going to wait and see what will happen with all these drivers. But it seems like right now the leader is going off ahead, whilst the midfield is a little bit spread out. But then you get down to P number 15, P number 12, down P number 14 downwards, I should say, and you have a fight practically at every single corner.
You say Hooper's pulling away. If anything, Sny's brought the gap down. It's now 1.1.
Tardock had a moment there in Parabolica, and here comes O'Reilly, Dan.
Carry on, I'm on board with him right now, mate. You carry on.
Yeah, O'Reilly, it's going to be interesting. Tardock, look at that. It is, I would say that's the ballast which has come into effect. Barely holding right there with him. Down into turn number 1, it's going to be Tardock, who is on the outside right there with him. Nice and tight, almost there. But it does not work out that time either. It's just unlucky. That ballast just not allowing the rotation, it seems.
That's it. That's how the championship works. And yeah, it is definitely a struggle here for Tardock. But that's the weight. That's the problem carrying the ballast on board. Meanwhile, like I said earlier on, Sny has brought the gap down. Hooper bouncing over the curb. But Sny now only 0.8 of a second with less than 3.5 minutes left to go. It is all going to get interesting towards the end of this race. Can O'Reilly now do anything about McGowan? That is the question. Darren Yeo now pulling away from Hofner, catching his teammate as we got to fight for... Ramsell's getting out of the way of Cummings by the looks of things. And no, sorry, Cummings is getting past Millington. So that's a move for a position. And Millington now bounces on the curb and hits Cummings. And that's also going to lead them into the 229. And that is Cranes as well, who's not had a good Monza so far. But Kalsef also gaining from that, as is Aberdeen, getting onto the back of him. And all sorts of carnage happening there.
As the gap did come down to the leader for a slight moment, seemingly in sector number 2 is where the leader is getting away with it. So Hooper is controlling the pace at this moment. Just under a 2-minute lap time, so we will be going on to the penultimate lap of race number 1 here at the Autodromo Enzo. I can never pronounce. We just say Monza. I think it's the Autodromo Internazionale e Monza. So it's always confusing with Imola also in the mix there on the game. But here we go through Ascari for most of these drivers, as it seems like all the gaps coming through as here comes the leaders. Not the leaders, it seems. We've got a few of the drivers. I do believe that Fernie is at a possibility of getting lapped right now as he's going down into turn number 1, and the rest of the leaders are coming through. Tardock is right behind him as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they direct and get through this lap traffic with the penultimate and the final lap.
Yeah, I don't really see Tardock really making any threat now to McGowan and O'Reilly unless something happens between them. You've got the two Team GBR cars going at a minute of Yo and Goudet. They seem to be relatively close as Cummins has a slight look onto the back of Marston a little bit further back. And then another whole gaggle of cars of Millington ahead of Aberdeen, Kalsef, Bell, and Kneebone makes contact there with Taylor by the looks of the thing. And Cherry Moore on debut here in 26th position, and realising that the Ginetta GT Championship, the Whodarron Cup as it's known as, is really being shown how to be bullied around this circuit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just one of them, as Fernie is doing his best to get out of the way as they head down towards Ascari. Tardock is going to have to slip through there. But it seems like it's going to be a tight one here, as we've got O'Reilly, who is chasing down McGowan, and Sny is chasing down Hooper. He got it down to 0.8 at the end of the last sector. We will be going on to the final lap here. So Sny is going to have to put his foot all the way, and he's going to have to push that Ginetta to its absolute limit, because both of these drivers, the leader and P2, are going to be topping out down this main straight, as McGowan is on the back.
He's gone wide.
Back of McGowan. What's happened over there, Dan?
He's gone wide. We're on board with O'Reilly, and McGowan goes wide, and that gives the door opening to O'Reilly. And obviously, that's not giving the opportunity to Tordok either. He's got his own hands full. He's got Duffing hunting him down now. But Snai, on this last attempt here, trying to bring the gap down to Hooper. And once again, the Ginetta GT Championship, the Whodarron Cup, really putting on a show here as McGowan now losing out and just off the podium now. But it is Hooper. Oh, God, wrong button. Thank you, ACC, for that. But Hooper leading the way at this stage, but Snai not too far away. Langley under pressure in that 10th place position from Matt Wright, but I don't really see that happening towards the end unless a mistake is going to happen. Everyone else seems to be relatively clear at the minute as the FBR boys close to 1-0. Betterson and Williams as Smith now comes on to the back of Williams.
Yeah, so onto the back, trying to hop in that draft. But down the main straight, how is it going to work out here? Of course, running the Team TOM colours here in the GT Force in the Whodarron Cup, rather than the LIR colours in the Pro-Am Series down the inside, and it looks for it, backs out of it, rather play it safe on the final lap, because I think this is going to be a big thing here, especially with Monza. I feel bad for Mike and the rest of the stewards, because with that lap number 1, I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of tickets, and I think quite a few drivers will be picking up some positions from penalties.
We go back to the front now, and we got to try and make sure that we stay with the guys to the front. Snai got the gap down to less than 0.6, but it's not going to be enough. It is going to be Hooper once again. Already got a race win to his name at Zolder, won the final race, and he's going to continue that consistency on. He now exits the final corner. Hooper for Dapper Racing is going to take the first win here tonight at Monza at the Temple Speed. He's been the fastest in race 1. He wins that one as Snai comes across the line for a solid P2 in that silver class. It's going to be a Dapper 1-3 with O'Reilly in 3rd, Tordok in 4th, Duffin just catching him at the end for 5th, Leach in 6th, Carlos at the end in 7th. Bolton is going to finish in 8th place position. McGowan lost out. Why? Is he out of fuel? I think he is. Langley's crossing the line in 9th. Wright in 10th. Silt gets 10th, 11th. McGowan gets 12th. Yo 13th. Goudet 14th. Hoffner 15th. 16th has gone Friedman. Varga in 17th. 8th is going to be Marston. Cummings in the end is going to be 19th. And then Millington in the end.
Yeah, very deep there for Kneebone, actually. He's lost out on that position. Through goes Kneebone. Taylor loses out there, tries to get a slipstream, but it is completely down. Taylor losing out on what seemed to be his own accord, way too deep into Parabolica there. So that is just an unfortunate moment there for him on the final lap. Going to lose out on those points. As correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's the top 30 that pick up points here. So it will be Williams, Rob Smith, Ramsell, Fernie, Cairns, Archer, Clarble, and Old Sim outside the top 30 who will not pick up the points here in race 1 at Monza.
That is correct there, Lexi. So those guys will not get the points there, as I will try and save the highlights and try and give you the guys something else to watch while we have the stream running in the background. So fingers crossed I have saved that. We can watch the highlights, but nonetheless, Hooper once again with a fantastic job there, taking the win and in dominant form as well. Into race 2, just a quick one to say thank you to our Patreons as well. They're in the chat, as you can see on your stream. Thank you to all of them: Benny, Ben, Ramsel, Graham, Luke, Andrew, Jamal, Matt, Stephen, Mirko, Snai, Harrison, Thomas, and also Stardo. Thank you guys for obviously focusing on the Patreon. And if you do want to be a part of the Patreons, then have a look at our Discord as well, so then you can be a part of that as well. Right, go into a bit of a break now, but we will be back in a few moments' time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully we should have all sounds working brilliantly. We should have everything running in sync, and we should have Lexi back as well. So first things first, Lexi, can we hear you?
Check, 1, 2, chat. Bravo, Echo Delta. This is the Monza intercity. This is the intercity service to Monza, calling at Venice, Milan, and Rome. But right now, qualifying is getting underway. We are green and go, and it's a lot more sunny this time.
Yeah, we are more into the day here as we are on board with Matthew Duffin, obviously first man in the pit lane. He is the first one out on track, and he's got McGowan and Torok right behind him as well. Regarding, I wonder if the tables have been updated. Probably not, with all the chaos that had gone through there. Maybe Matthew has done it. I think he actually might have as well. So yeah, he managed to do that. Thankfully. Lexi, if I just leave Matthew Duffin on an onboard, do you want to take us for another lap around this fabulous circuit as oh god, I pressed the wrong button again. So many buttons, so little time to, you know, mess around with things. So yeah, if I put you on board with Matthew Duffin, are you able to take us for a lap around Monza?
For a second. I will do it just for you. Right now, going through Parabolic, it will be the start of the lap time. Going up and putting those revs to the max. Up in 4th gear as you exit the corner. Up in a 5th as you hit the main straight. Take out the bollard on the way to the line. And you begin your lap time here at the Monza circuit. Number 1 currently is Matthew Duffin on the board with no lap time set. We're going to wait and see what will happen here for him. Down in towards turn number 1, just after 150 meters onto the brakes. Don't hit that sausage curb too much on the inside. Through turn 1, through turn 2, nice and tidy, but it's going to be an interesting one. Out of it into turn number 3, quickly into turn number 4 of Curva Grande, and putting it all the way up. Reaches 125 in 5th gear, up in a 6th. Hitting the revs as quickly as possible. 144, 145, 146. 148 before you hit on the brakes into Variante number 2, and then nice and tidy. Avoid those sausage curbs as you do not want to flip your car, as heading now down into Lesmo number 1 and Lesmo number 2. Having as much speed as possible. Quick lift off the throttle. Don't hit on the brake, just glide it through. Down a little brake touch into Lesmo number 2 on the exit, onto the throttle. Quick shift up the fob as you reach 100, 115 into 5th, and you go now 130 up in a 6th, down the back straight as you go now down under the old banking for the old circuit, into the bridge and into the left-hander as you head into the Ascari chicane. Left wheels pop up off the ground there without a doubt. Abusing the curbs, using them as much as you like, and you gotta wonder how close can you push it to an invalidation. Matthew Duffin right now, the number 55, P number 1 with no lap time set. We're about to get it as we now head down towards Parabolica. We saw a few of the drivers have a bit of moments here during the race 1, but here in qualifying for race number 2, it seems like he's going to hold out for the time being. Stays in 4th, revs it up into 5th, down past the bollard he took out earlier, to the line. Matthew Duffin, 157, quickly dethroned by McGowan, 1 minute 57, 025, Tardok, P number 2. But that is a nice gap that McGowan has at the moment. We can very much expect 1 minute 56s, as there we go. Hooper, first driver to break into him, as it's a 156.577. It's 16-degree track temperature, optimal surface, no rain on the forecast, Dan.
Yep. And Darren Yo also now spitting us. Duffin's first initial lap doesn't look to be a very good competitive one at the minute, but he's still got plenty of time to get a bit more laps on the board. We've got 2 and 20 seconds left to go in this session. And once again, Silf now pops in a decent lap time. He now puts himself up into 3rd place position. Millington now crosses the, Goudet crosses the line in 11th place. These lap times are coming in thick and fast, as Nebo now crosses the line and goes into 10th place position. So lap times are coming in thick and fast around here. Once we get the session done, we will then look at the championship standings, as it is all changed once again. But We see there, Betterson crosses line for Team FBR, goes into 13th, but then we see Ramsel improves and goes to 11th as well. So can we keep out of trouble going into turn number 1 this time round, Lexi? That is going to be the question.
Well, you would hope that it would improve going throughout the races. You get more of an understanding of the drivers around you. You find out where the braking points are. You know who's a bit more conservative, who's a bit more aggressive, who you can really fight into turn number 1 if you're going to go for it on lap number 1, which realistically you want to be conservative. P number 37 at the moment, no lap time. Here comes Hoffer to the line for Ball Busters Racing. Goes to the line, goes up the board. P number 12 for the PlayStation driver. The number 21, 1.418 off the pace as it stands. P number 12, so just sitting outside the top 10. Hooper, though, has an absolute margin at this moment. 0.448 to the next driver behind him. Very close, though, between O'Reilly, Yo, and, of course, you've also got Tardok in there as well. Kyle O'Reilly comes to the line now. P number 3 with a nice little jump. 0.618 behind the leader. Sylph making his way down towards Parabolica. Nice start, a brand new lap. We've also got Yo, who's making his way through, and Tardok just coming out of turn number 1 as well. So the top runners, it's going to be Yo next to the line as we've got a few more drivers yet set lap times, a few in the pits, but Marsden, Varga, Klarbel, Friedman and Leach all out on circuit, no lap time set at the moment for them.
I think Sylph there just backing off and trying to get himself a little bit of a run here. We've got Ramsel now coming into the final few corners here and trying to keep on top of who is where and what is happening. We've got Ramsel now coming into the final corner. Not sure who's quite ahead of him. I think it's the 500, I think. The 501, that is obviously Ramsel. He comes to the line, but he does not improve. He actually pulls into the pits. And that is it for him. He is done as we see Bolton now crossing the line and goes to P9. We now look to the 420. I believe that is Marston. Yes, it is, as he now exits the Parabolica.
Yeah, we've also got the 208 coming through right now, so we're going to keep an eye on both of these as the look on the time boss, see if there will be any improvements. Going to go to the line. Does he jump up? It does not seem like it. P number 9 at this moment. Got to be looking a little bit further back from on my end. Friedman to the line. Does he jump up? Does he get a lap time on? Yes, he does. Just outside the top 10. P number 11, Carlos, is making his way through. Ascari next to the line will be the number 57, I believe. So it looks like it's going to be an interesting one for all of these drivers as these lap times are going to be coming in thick and fast. Langley also there, car behind him. Looking on the lap times, a good improvement there for Tardok. P number 3 as it currently stands. Snice, P number 2. Hooper still yet to be dethroned. Langley to the line. Goes up into P number 17. Slight improvement. Hooper, P number 1. And provisional pole. Carlos will come to the line. Is he going to dethrone? 1, 2, 3 is yellow flagged. Carlos does not improve there. John Gooday stays in the pit lane. Nebo making his way down towards Parabolica. He will be the final driver to cross that line if he is on for an improvement.
We need to keep an eye out on Sylph. He exits the final corner. Smith just ahead of him, I believe, as well. Sets a lap time, but it's going to be Sylph towards the line. Has he improved? He has not. So it is now down to Yo and Kneebone. Yo goes into P3 there as he improves. Where is Kneebone? Kneebone crosses the line and he goes into P6. So a great lap time there from Kneebone.
Yeah, Kneebone, big jump there, right at the death of qualifying 2. So you've got to wonder, how is this going to line up? It's Hooper who will line up in pole. He's got the fastest, 1 minute 56.577, which, if I'm doing this correctly, if I go to qualifying if I go to Q1, that is slower than his Q1 time by a few tenths. So it is going to be an interesting one. But for race number 2, it's going to be Hooper who lines up on pole position. O'Reilly will be right there alongside him in P number 2. It's a dapper 1-2 for the front row lockout. It's then Team GBR of Yo, followed by Sny. It's then McGowan, Kneebone, Tardok, Sylph, Keynes, and Bolton rounds out the top 10 for OWR Racing.
If you want to run through the rest of the grid as I get a poll up ready for the race. But a fantastic qualifying once again by Hooper and O'Reilly to take the session again. So if you want to finish the grid there, Lexi, while I get this poll going in a minute.
So the rest of the grid outside the top 10 goes as follows. It's Carlos, Friedman, Kalsef, Hoffer, Matt Wright, Clarbel, John Gooday, Matthew Duffin, Langley, Ramsell, Bell, Fernie, Varga, Cummins, Millington, Marsden, Bettison, Cherrymore, Smith, Johnson, Williams, Aberdeen, Tipping, Sturrock, Old Sim Racer, Archer, Taylor, and Gary Leach rounds out the starting grid.
Absolutely.
So you've got to wonder, how is this going to play out? Also, I just want to point this out. Q2, P number 28 for Cherrymore. I'm going to look into this because he is a new driver. Cherrymore, for qualifying 1 as well, did end up going P number 25. So it seems like he is very comfortable within that 20 range. So honestly, considering it's a brand new driver to the series, up against some drivers who have already had a week's race, so I would say Cherrymore, not too bad of a debut so far as the grid gets going.
Yeah, not bad indeed, as we do get away, and once again, it is a dapper all front row. They're looking phenomenal in these GT4s. Obviously, first round of the season, there was no weight on board, and Tordok looked very powerful. And now with the weight on board, and I think O'Reilly and Hooper might be carrying a little bit of weight themselves, it really does help in the championship. And obviously, the way the championship after that race looks is this. Tordok leads the way of O'Reilly in second, Duff in third, Hooper fourth, Silf in fifth, Wright in sixth, Zappolini in seventh, Carlos eighth, Snide ninth, and Friedman rounds up the top 10. Then it's Yo, Kalsef, McGowan, Hoffner, Bolton, Langley, Ramsell, Bell, Skunky, Varga, Clarbel, Aberdeen, Tipping, Millington, Leach, Marsden, Old Sim Racer, Goudet, Fernie, Cranes, Taylor, Archer, Cummings, Williams, Smith, Kneebone, Johnson, Bettison, and Cherrymore scoring a point there as well as they get going once again. And obviously, you know what I'm going to be doing now, Lexi. We're coming now around to the final half of this lap, and I want to get your prediction on race 2 winner.
You know what? Before we get to that, I'm just gonna point this out. You were talking about the ballast. There is slight ballast on the top 2. For Hooper, it is 15 kilograms of ballast, while it is 20 kilograms of ballast for O'Reilly, 40 kilograms for Tordok in P number 7, 5 kilograms for Kalsef in P number 11. Sylph has 35 kilograms in P14. And Matt Wright with 10 in P number 15, and then Matthew Duffin with 25 kilograms down in P number 18. So Matthew has a bit of work ahead of him, but taking into the fact that there is no ballast at all on the car, and we know what turn number 1 is going to be like, I am going with Yo for race number 2 win. What about you?
I think the majority of the chat believe you as well. There is a post going out for who you think is going to win this one. I'm going to go McGowan on this one. I think the Dapper boys do look strong, but I don't know if they're going to come under a little bit of pressure. McGowan's looking quite solid as well. First things first, we do apologise if we curse anyone. A reminder as well, have a look at our fantastic sponsors as well, Design Manchester and Audio Sport. All their informations are in the link below. Also, if you are a Patreon and you tag SimPlay Motorsport, your posts on Instagram, Facebook, or anything like that will be reposted straight away onto the SimPlay Motorsport channels, such as TikTok or Instagram, and so on and so forth. Make sure you follow all of them, but more importantly, like and subscribe. And we are getting ready for race 2, Lexi, and obviously the way we do things here at SimPlay, it is your turn to run through the second race here, as we are on board with the leaders at the minute. And I take this over to Lexi to bring you the action for race 2 start.
So it is a dapper 1-2. It's a front row lockout of the black and white. But all the drivers now go double file. The formation lap comes to an end. It is race number 5 of the season here in round number 2 at Monza. It is infamous and it is known. Zolder was last week. We've already had 1 race here. We go to the second race. It is Monza. It's known. All eyes will now go to the lights on the gantry. Here at Monza, green flag drops. We are racing. And that is going to be a very good start for Hooper, who has got off the line with absolute pristine. McGowan also going to be going through wheel to wheel. It's going to be A to square all the way down. Yo, going to be trying to sliver through as you see him coming and trying to make any gap. A little bit further back as well, right in the middle as across the circuit. Does go O'Reilly. Hooper, no, it was Hooper actually. O'Reilly's got through nice and clean. There were yellow flags at the back. There is chaos once again. Through will go Friedman. Nice triple overtake there as they head through Curva Grande. And you can only wonder how many drivers, as that is going to be a big contact in Curva Grande. 2 drivers go off. Friedman, luckily enough, got away with it. But that is what happens when you go like that at Monza. Has already contact as well. It's cut off. Varga cuts across the nose of Millington.
Oh my lord.
And that is it. And it is down and dusted. It is unlucky for him, but you got to give him credit. O'Reilly, Hooper and Yo have got away scot-free, but I think that's more yellows than the first race, Dan.
That was a complete and utter mess. I mean, wow. I don't know what to say. I'm a little bit shocked at the result of that, but it is a dapper 1-2 at the minute, leading the way with Yo now in 3rd, McGowan 4th, Tordock 5th, Silth in 6th, 7th is Snye, 8th is Cranes, and 9th is Friedman, Bolton in 10th, and they are your top 10. What on earth was that? There was cars absolutely and I still think there's more nope, they calmed down a little bit by the looks of things, but absolute carnage there by the looks of things, as we've got Sati Apex, one of our Patreons, in the chat. Nice to see you in the chat there, Sati, as well, and he says he is still alive and hopefully back on the sim rig one day. But McGowan looks like he's got a great run now as he's into the slipstream of Darren Yo.
Yeah, as I've just done the calculations a little bit, as Yo, of course, under pressure, just done the calculations, and 13 drivers have been hindered by that opening lap, and they've fallen really far back while the rest of the grid gets away. There's a little bit of an overtake there in the background. There's even more happening. OWR Racing off, CGT off, and of course Quantum Motorsport slithering through. There's a lot of yellow cars on the grid this season. It makes it a little bit hard to tell who's who. But here we go, around the outside for battle for P number 16. Here comes Gary Leach up against Millington. As no, it's actually going to be up against, I believe, up against OWR Bolton, actually. As they now go up against each other. Bolton does get past. Also got Kneebone in the background as well. Here comes a little bit more. It is going to be Fernie, Kneebone, Alton, Leach all up against each other. It looks for an inside at Lesmo number 2. Bolton did end up losing out there as well. Car off. That's going to be Fernie who does sliver through. I believe, yes, it was. Kneebone went wide off of Lesmo number 1. So it's a little bit more of a look
as well. Ramsel's off. Is he going to... Oh, more cars off. Kneebone's in the wall. Oh, absolute chaos again. Can he stay out of trouble? Yes, he can. But absolute carnage and chaos there at the start of this race. And while this is all going on, O'Reilly now leads this race with Hooper in 2nd, with Darren Yo just dropping off the back. The dapper duo pulling away from the rest of the pack. I mean, meanwhile, Tordock is onto the back of McGowan here. And the top 10 really don't seem to be having any issues. Matt Wright now dropping back behind Goudet, so Goudet making a position there as well, and Bolton with Millington just behind him. Gary Leach now pulling away from the absolute carnage that is behind, as we see there. That is Langley going up the inside of Fernie. Duffin's in the middle of all this. He now tries to go up the inside as well, going into Parabolica. We've got Benny Varga on the outside. Langley and Duffin, they go 3 wide down the main straight. This could end in absolute tears once again.
Yeah, we saw it happen at Curva Grande, but luckily enough, a driver backs out. Not going to risk it is Langley. So, but Varga is going to stick right there with Matthew Duffin. Matthew Duffin with the ballast a lot later on the brake, so maybe just a little bit better braking bias. But it is nice and clean for those drivers. No big incident there, thankfully, compared to what happened in Curva Grande with the 3 wide on lap number 1, as the rest of the drivers do now come through. So many drivers in the pit lane as Rob Smith now making his way out the pit box. Klarbel is last on the road. He is not going any further it seems, unless something happens in front of him, as, of course, all these drivers making their way through. But with that lap number 1 and so many drivers in the pit lane, if they do come back out, Dan, we only saw one driver with blue flags in the first race. I think there's going to be a lot more blue flags here in the second if those drivers who are involved opt to come out rather than take a qualifying ban in the next round.
The two SimPlay Racing boys switched positions, and Ramsels actually came off worse from it. He's now under pressure from Benny Varga, who's going to go around the outside, going towards the Parabolica, nearly making contact as well. But down towards the Parabolica we go, and I think Ramsels not going to get the job done. He's just going to have to fall into position as he does, as Langley now also looks to make a move as well. But Hooper out in front, trying to hunt down his fellow teammate here, and they're just pulling away as Darren Yeo under some pressure now from McGowan, and Tordok with that weight on the board seems to be struggling a little bit more once again.
Yeah, Self a little bit further back as well, ended up going way too hot into the exit of Ascari. Luckily enough, did not spin round, but had a bit of a drift through the gravel, so he's lost out on 2 positions there. Here comes Cairns for P number 6 right now. Snai is going to have to hold off.
That's Friedman. That's Friedman. He's attacking Cranes.
Yeah, Friedman versus Cranes, as they do now go up against each other. A little bit of barging, maybe a slight bit of contact, but not too much. And that is going to be a nice defense there, as Cloud9 are seemingly wanting to get past MSA and full send Fjord Lords. So it is going to be interesting. But looking now, looks for the inside, and this may just be me, but I feel like that is a Swedish team, because Fjords, you only really hear about fjords in Norway and Sweden.
Maybe a Nordic country then, but Cranes there going a little bit wide, and that's allowing Friedman up the inside, and job done for him. Meanwhile, what else is happening on the circuit? We look further back. John Goude's lost a couple of positions here. He's dropped behind Bolton now, and Leach, and Bolton and Leach going side by side. Leach nearly going into the side of him, but gets it together. We lost the 50 board there, so a lot of cars might be misjudging their braking zones. And once again, Bolton goes wide. Leach has a slide, and after all that, Taylor, I believe, is just on the back of him. No, that's Clarble, a lap down just onto the back of him. And we see there Millington dropping behind Duffin. Now he's about to get passed by Varga once again, coming up to the Ascari chicane. And looks like Varga might get the job done, or is Millington going to fight it out on the inside? He stays to the inside. Varga gives him racing room, and Millington getting on the curb too much, loses the back end and losing the position. But Varga makes a mistake himself, and he goes off on the exit of Ascari, and coming through there or sideways, by the looks of things, was Langley. And yeah, Varga losing out massively there, dropping behind Bell in the end. So lots of positions lost there for Varga. Meanwhile, Hooper and O'Reilly are going side by side down towards turn number 1.
Yeah, they're going to go side by side as a freeway fight continues in the back. Dapper Racing boys having a little bit of a fight. Most likely Noir rules rather than Papaya rules, but it seems they are free to fight as long as they don't cost each other too much. And it is going to stay as it is right now. O'Reilly does keep that lead. Nice little fight, probably keeping themselves entertained throughout this race as they are very far off into the distance. But we are not even at the halfway point yet. We do have cars behind as well. We have John Gooday, who's trying to get past, who is actually lost out to Leach. He's now having to try get past Matthew Duffin, who's got past him. And this is what I was talking about. Blue flags are going to be coming into effect, as Clarble is in the traffic, so will Rob Smith, Marsden, Archer, Besserson, and Kalsef is still in the pits. But that is 5 drivers who will be having blue flags around the circuit. So how is that going to affect these battles? Here comes Bal for P number 19, as it is going to be Fernie versus Aberdeen with 5 astern of them. So down into Lesmo number 1, it is a tight hack, and one mistake can cost you many positions from what we are seeing here tonight. As that is a big one, and that is in the middle of the road. That is Steve Millington, P number 16. He's losing lots of time. Another one, Lesmo number 2, who has gone round there.
Millington seems to be caught up with Langley, and who else is in that fight? That was Fernie, Aberdeen, Johnson, all those guys who are in that kind of scrap, and it looks like Langley and Fernie are the ones that came off worse there. As we go further back to the front, there's Bolton attacking Matt Wright, or Matt Wright's losing out to Bolton, but you go back to your leaders, and O'Reilly and Hooper, too busy racing one another, has allowed McGowan and Yeah, McGowan and Yo to catch on to the back of him, and Darren Yo, yeah, looking like he's in a very strong position here at Monza and looking quite competitive. McGowan, no, getting a little bit later on the brakes as Tordok not a million miles behind as we get just past the halfway stage of this race. And Snai also just keeping tabs as Crane's doing a brilliant job in P7 at the minute ahead of Friedman, Silth and Hoffner.
Yeah, it's also a nice little battle into turn number 1 for P number 11. Bolton versus Matt Wright. Matt Wright behind. And, of course, we've got Bolton in front. Easy way to tell these two cars apart because they are quite similar. The more dull blue with the light blue is Quantum. The pure white, the pure dark blue and yellow is OWR Racing as they now head down towards Variante 2, and it is going to be down the inside. Matt Wright looking for it, but it's unfortunately not going to be close enough. So it's going to be an interesting one when it comes down to those drivers. But still, back up at the front, they're all now closing in on each other. Yo and McGowan did catch up. Tardok basically on those guys. And then there's also Snai, who is slowly creeping in behind as well. So the gap, not as big as it was in race number 1. And we said this last week, Dan, the more you battle other drivers, the more people behind you are going to start to catch up. So maybe that inter-team fighting for Dapper ended up costing them, and it could cost them even more towards the end.
Gary Carball's gone off again. Gary in the chat saying no comment, going 4 wide into turn 1. Obviously, that's the comment from earlier on at the start of the race. But O'Reilly now just seems to be getting a little bit of a sink now and needs to stop in the fighting each other. And Yo can't go with them. Obviously, they're now starting getting into the slipstream. Kind of pointless going down the main straight because these cars tend to top out relatively quickly down this long straight. This is what the Ginettas were having such a problem when racing here 2 seasons ago. But now McGowan looking down the inside of Yo going into the first corner, but Yo has got enough of a buffer at the minute just to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Friedman still trying to attack on the back of Cranes at the minute, but can't quite get close enough, as is Silth not too far behind as well, and Hoffner in P10 rounding off the top 10 there. We've got Leach and Duffin going side by side, and Duffin goes up the inside and keeps the position over Leach as Leach now drops further back.
Yeah, nice little overtake there into turn number 1. That is how it's done. And Matthew Duffin getting through nice and tidy. That's another position he's picked up in this race. Of course, qualifying a bit further down than he would have liked. But considering he's also got championship ballast on that car, I would say that he is doing pretty all right in this race so far. Also, of course, O'Reilly, Hooper.
Sorry, Hooper.
And,
Hooper's just had a massive moment out of the second. I keep calling them Degners. They're not Degners. Lesmo, that's the one. He's had a massive moment out in the exit of Lesmo. He's now put himself in the clutches of Yo and now giving away the slipstream. But a massive slide through there has compromised him a little bit. The rear tyres are probably and he's had another slide once again. Darren Yo in a great opportunity to try and attack now, but did not get the exit of Ascari well.
Yeah, he's going to have to hope that the draft will be something that can play, but it seems like that mistake he could have capitalised, but he made a mistake of his own, which you do not want to do. Now through Parabolica, they're going to be closing in, as I do believe that is going to be, yes it is, McGowan is also right there with him. So a mistake by Hooper brought Yo into, put him in Yo's grasp, but then Yo's mistake put McGowan in him in McGowan's grasp. So we have a free train down into turn number 1. You got 3 coaches, and then you got Hooper as at the engine. Down into the braking zone for turn number 1. Nice and clean, no contact between them. And Tardok must be loving this because he's got a front row seat to all the action that is happening in front of him. And you've got to wonder, is Tardok just thinking, something please happen so then I can capitalise and make my way through because of this ballast?
Well, obviously, he's just thinking championship. I know at the minute he's put down a reserve, but I think he's trying to... If we do lose drivers, he will be put as a full driver. He had issues with work, but he has managed to negotiate around that, and he is able to do the full season. So once we get an opening for him, he will be in it, and he's just scoring points. as people who know, most of the SimPlay boys here, we are very much into our touring cars, and he's doing what a particular driver is doing, which is known as Tom Ingram. He's doing a pointsy race, just gaining the points, not trying too hard, not pushing the car too hard, and just gaining the points. He's got Snide behind him now, but the top three all within 3 seconds of one another. But O'Reilly now pulling away and hopefully getting his first win of the season.
Yeah, and you've got to wonder, speaking of touring cars, BTCC Alton Park is coming up this weekend. I'm sure a few SimPlay drivers will be going to that. So if anybody is going, do put it in the Discord. I'm sure some people would love to meet up. Get a SimPlay meetup going like there usually is at Donington Park. I think Dan and Matthew Duffin probably have more perspective on Donington, because I've never been to a race in real life, but right now these gaps are just closing down on each other. But O'Reilly, he's just got 1.4 at the moment, and it's going to be 1.3, so he's got over a second gap right now. He's loving life in this race.
He's looking comfortable. Yeah, there's a little fight between him and Hooper earlier on, but he's looked comfortable, he looks consistent, and he's been fine ever since. I'm looking further back. We're looking at the quite a close fight with Cummings, Bell, Aberdeen, all these guys in quite close quarters as well. There's an FBR car, I believe that's a lapped car just ahead of him as well. So all these cars relatively close, but that first lap chaos really causing a lot of issues for drivers. And obviously it's putting off a little bit of the timings because you're not actually quite sure who is where and what fights are going on. But Cummings at the minute is in the tow of Bell, but really can't do anything at the minute. But we go back to the front, and Yo has lost his third place, and McGowan is now in third.
Yeah, that must have been a mistake on through Kerber Grande. So whilst we were looking away from that, that did happen. So that's unfortunate for him. And he's now going to have to try and fight his way back through. Also, Matthew Doving now coming up on the back of Matt Wright. Big old two-wheel moment there for him. That was lovely to see. Doing a bit of drifting, it seems, on two wheels. But he's going to be coming up against Matt Wright at the moment. And we also got Bolton in front of him. So that's going to be an interesting battle to continue watching throughout the rest of this race. Yellow flag, that's Cummings, who is in the barrier on the exit of Kerber Grande just before the second chicane. RTG, I think that's him out of the race.
There looks like a car in front of him. That is Millington, I think, is stuck in the middle of the circuit. Yes, it is. Millington at the second chicane, and a FBR car as well. I believe that might be Bettison. Yes, it is. So a couple more cars having another moment here at Monza. You would have thought a circuit this is wide and long, it should be relatively easy to go racing around here, but obviously clearly not. Bolton, meanwhile, is holding up Wright and Duffin as they now come into the parabolica, and Wright nearly hits the back of Bolton there.
Yeah, evasive action. He had to go off circuit there to avoid making the contact with the rear bumper. It's very easy to do in a car like this. It's both exactly the same. You know exactly how wide your car is. You know where the contact zone is. You got to just be careful with it, and that's unfortunately just cost him the place to Matthew Duffin. So that it's just one of the unfortunate things with racing there, late on the brakes, and it's just unlucky for him. But that's going to give Matthew Duffin the green, and that's going to give him the door to open and go up against Bolton. But it looks like P11 is only going to be as far as he goes, because we do have the leaders going around right now with 1:28 left on the clock. So at the current pace, I believe we will be... It's going to be fine, but I think we'll have one extra lap here.
Yeah, this is the penultimate lap. We'll keep an eye on where O'Reilly is on the circuit. But once again, Hooper is coming back at him, and McGowan's just dropped off the top two. And Yo is now onto the back bumper. I know Yo will want to get a podium in the bag towards the end of this race. And once again, Snai is just sat there waiting in the wings, ready to attack. And once again, another strong drive from the silver driver, as is Yo as well. Both silver drivers, and Crane's also an honourable mention for a great drive in this one. But they all come down towards the end of these laps, and O'Reilly, we go on board of him as he now comes down towards the parabolica, and he's got Hooper right behind him, but a couple of lap traffic, and Silth has got a drive through for track limit, so more positions gains for cars further back. But O'Reilly comes out the final corner to start his final lap here in Italy, and he leads the way ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, our team order's going to come into play here, or is Hooper free to try it? It can get tricky. We'll wait and see. It's the final lap here at the Monza circuit, and it is going to be an interesting one. Of course, Sylph has to serve that drive-through, otherwise it will be a 130-second penalty, I believe, and the end of his race lap time, or 30 seconds from from the practice that we were doing last night, Dan. So it's going to be interesting to see what the penalty will be like there for him. Of course, still got Bolton, Matthew Duffin, Matt Wright locked in that freeway fight a little bit further back down into turn number 1. Matt Wright almost on the back of Bolton, almost goes for it, but it's not there for him that time either. So it is unfortunate at that moment in time. Here comes Varga, actually, down the main straight on the back of Bell for P number 20, and he's gonna be right there alongside him, and it seems like he's got the better straight line speed as he is right there with him. Bell is gonna have to be late on the brakes, but the damage also a key factor. Down into the brakings of turn number 1, wheel to wheel, side by side, clean and tidy as Varga seemingly getting that move done, but Kerber Grande is next. How will that hold out as he is still alongside, but of course damage is going to hold up Bell for Roadrunner Pounders. But also you got to keep in mind, because you got O'Reilly who's currently making his way through. Hooper is unable to get past unless he does that Parabolica. Final lap, one more corner to go. Then it is O'Reilly 2-4-2 here at Monza, here in the Whodarron Cup. In fact, no, it was Hooper in race number 1. And now around the final corner, O'Reilly will get this one. So it's 2 for 2 for Dapper. It's O'Reilly 1, Hooper 1. As they come to the line, O'Reilly wins the second race here at Monza. Hooper P2, McGowan P3, and Dan, take us through the rest of it.
Darren Yeo taking P4, Tordock in P5, Snide P6, Cranes coming to line in P7 with Friedman in 8. Obviously a 30-second time penalty added to Silv. We're dropping further down with Hoffner 10th. Bolton hanging in there in 11th place position, heading towards the line now, and Duffin in 12th ahead of Wright. Leach in 14th, with Goudet finishing in that 15th place position. Then it's going to be Johnson in 16th ahead of Ramsel, ahead of Old Sim Racer, with Aberdeen in 19th. Then we got Wagner in that 20th position as they come to the end. Skunky in the chat, going to be a ticker tape parade in those tickets office tonight. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that, as Wagner crosses the line for 20th. Bell 21st with Tipping 22nd. Nebo in 23rd with Williams 24th. Storrock in 25th. Taylor 26th. 27th is going to be Cherrymore. 28th is going to be Langley Smith. 29th Millington. 30th Marsden, 31st Cummings, 32nd Carlos, 33rd Archer, 34th Clarball, 35th Betterson, 36th, and Kalsef, 37th. And that is that. I will get the highlights ready for the interval. And God, Lexi, it's been an absolute dramatic Monza, hasn't it?
Yeah, tell me about it. You did say Nebo. You did say Tipping P22, Kneebone P23. That was actually a switch round for him. So Kneebone 22 and then Tipping P23. Last lap overtake down the inside for Kneebone, going into Parabolica. So that was the final overtake of that race. But I just want to say, I got my prediction right for once, Dan.
You did indeed. O'Reilly takes the win on that one. And once again, I will get a screen up of the Patreons, and a massive thank you to all of them, as I will get the screen ready for the highlights. But what a race that was. Absolute carnage. But we'll be back in a few moments time once again for the third and final race of the night. And like I said, we'll be back in a few moments time as we go Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the stream, and we get things underway, and there's cars absolutely everywhere as they leave pit lane and all crossing the white line. So yeah, this could be fairly interesting going into this final qualifying session. I don't get the need and rush to dart out the pit. If you can get the qualifying lap done relatively smoothly and cleanly, you don't need to dart out that quick. But anyway, Lexi, we are back, and a small little break, and I think we need to catch up on what's been going on, because that was absolutely carnage, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it all started at it seemed like turn number 1 was going to be all right with the leaders. Then the second half of the grid got to the chicane, and it must have been just like a bowling alley, pins falling everywhere. Then you also had the free wide at Curva Grande, which spewed a car into the barrier, one into the gravel, ping pong, you know what happens there, and enter a bowling alley, and more pins falling. So, of course, 13 drivers ended up getting majorly hindered in that race due to lap number 1, at least if my calculations were correct, which I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't, because I didn't pass maths first try. But we're hoping for a cleaner second race here, aren't we? Cleaner third race, I should say. To be fair, going over the result, we'll go through it because we got qualifying just before these drivers get the laps in. Race 1, Hooper, Snai, O'Reilly. Race 2 would then be O'Reilly, Hooper, McGowan. So right now, it looks like it's between O'Reilly or Hooper to make it a 2-race wins here, but we do have somebody coming to the line, and they are on their lap time. If I'm trying to grab who it is, I know Matthew Duffin's still started a lap. Oh, it is
Tordok leading the way.
Yeah, it's Tordok. Yeah, it's Tordok leading the way. I took it in the last qualifying session. You can have this one.
Actually, it's not. I'm wrong. It's the 208, I believe. That is. Oh, that's sorry. Those guys have only just come out of the pits. That is Friedman and the car of Storok. So going into the first sector, and already Tordok is looking like he has got a lovely gap. He does not want to be held up by the car in front, so he's a little bit of seconds behind the car in front, so it might give him a slight tow, and luckily not too much dirty air. Obviously the dirty air is going to affect the cars. You may think in cars like this it really wouldn't affect them too much, but they still actually do ever so slightly. Track temperature has dropped as well, so it's a little bit cooler going into this one. So we'll see how the pace differs on that. But while the guys are doing their qualifying, we've already done a couple of laps round through here. We'll look at the championship standings, and it's Tordok leading the way by 1 point ahead of O'Reilly in second. 11 points further back is Hooper. And then you've got Duffin in P4, Silth in P5, Matt Wright in P6 with Snai, P7, 8th is Yo, 9th is Friedman, McGowan is 10th, Zappolini in 11th, Hoffner 12th, and Carlos in 13th, Bolton 14th, Calcer 15th, Langley 16th, Ramsor 17th, Bell, then Varga, Leach, Cranes, Aberdeen, Tipping, Goudet, Skunky, Old Sim Racer, Clarball, Millington, Marsden, Fernie, and then Johnson, Taylor, Williams, Archer, Kneebone, Cummings, Smith, Storok, Cherry Moore, Betterson, and then that is teams is Dapper Racing with a big lead ahead of MSA, SimPlay Racing, Bullbusters Racing, CT Motorsport, Team GBR, Team RRM, Quantum Motorsport, Greasy Bandits Racing, Full Send, Job Lords, and then OWR Racing, Team Piston Pounders, Road Runner Motorsports, G&D Racing, Soldor, Team Audio Sport, Team Tom, 2Cs Racing, Bluntford Racing, Team FBR, and then CGT Motorsport. Who puts on pole once again so far?
Yeah, most definitely. Also, I just want to point this out, because this is something I've spotted from last season. We're looking at the drivers currently. Only Cherry Moore and Fernie do not have a team name. Well, Cummings as well, but he's just jumped up the field. There's a lot more teams on the grid this season. There was quite a few independents last season, but it seems like there's been a bit more interest in teams here. So that's a good thing to spot. I thought I'd bring that up now, going into the third and final race, just as you just went through the team standings. That is amazing to see right now. Hooper's up top, followed by Yo, followed by Snai.
Hooper's fastest at the minute, where O'Reilly once again it takes a little bit of time for O'Reilly. He seems to try and get it seems like the first half of the session he's not quite there, and then come towards the end of the session he tends to put his quick laps in towards the end. But Hooper once again, fastest, with Darren Yeo in that second place, as all the guys now coming to set their first lap times. A lot of cars in pit lane, not wanting to not wanting to qualify by the looks of things, as we got Will Friedman now in the final corner and exiting, and see what he can do. Currently 38th at the minute, coming to the line. Where is this going to put him? And it will put him in 10th place position. And now the rest of the pack come flying down towards the line. And I believe it will be Tordok to cross the line first. He goes P4, Duffin P8. But we'll know the times will get quicker and quicker as they cross the line.
Yeah, most definitely. Also got Carlos out here, 442, who is yet to get a lap time on the board. He's currently coming around the final corner. McGowan up at the top by 9 thousandths of a second for Greasy Bandits Racing, 156.772. Here comes to the line. It is going to be Carlos. Does he go up? Yes, he does. P number 12 overall for him at the moment, as that is going to be Hoffer, who is currently coming through as well. A good improvement there by Matthew Duffin. He's in P number 10 at the moment. We did miss that, unfortunately. Matt Wright goes up. O'Reilly is there as well. Hooper's P number 3. Silver's just come to the line. P number 4 for him. Yo's down in P number 5. Tardok, championship leader by 1 point, only in P number 7. So, unless he does something, as long as O'Reilly is ahead of Tardok, O'Reilly will take the lead of the championship, unless P number 3 has something to say about it. But it's going to be interesting. Matthew Duffin also here, going to have a little bit of a toe down towards Ascari.
Might not be the best thing, as Leach now goes into P3 as the last, P11 as the last couple of cars. Here comes Marsden now to the line, P25. A lap time on the board drops him out of the guys who are on quick laps. We are now waiting for Will Friedman now to come into the final corner. And they're all coming in thick and fast. But this third race is going to be carnage once again. I'm thinking, Lexi, is going to be really hard racing. But here comes now Friedman to the line. What's it going to be? He goes P5. A brilliant improvement there from him. And it's Tordok now who's giving a little bit of a toe to Duffin. They come towards the line. Tordok does improve. And Duffin goes fastest of them all. Takes the pole so far. And that is the help of the toe. We have Snai goes just behind him in P2. We got McGowan doesn't improve. O'Reilly goes to P3 on that one. And Yo goes to P7. Cranes now goes to P2.
Yeah, big improvements across the board. Millington is going to come to the line. Will stay in P number 22. Does not break into those fields. Also got John Good. Lots of drivers have not set lap times here. So they are done and dusted as Bell stays in P number 26. Few more drivers to come to the line. We're just going to have to watch timing tower here. Kneebone around the final corner out of Parabolica. Comes to the line, one driver behind him. Kneebone goes up into P number 6. But I think the biggest story here, pole with the toe, Matthew Duffin. And we were talking about Dapper before. Dapper had a front row lockout in race number 2. But now they sit P number 4 and P number 7. So it's going to be an interesting race number 3 for them. They're going to have a fight through the field to get back where they want.
They are indeed. Dapper's got a lot of work to do. But either way, it is Matthew Duffin who puts it on pole position. And I obviously forgot to tell you as well, coming into this, Matthew Duffin and myself were actually the most successful here at SimPlay Motorsport around Monza. So that obviously bodes well for Duffin there. But the question is, though, Lexi, as we've seen going into turn number 1, it is just staying out of trouble. It just takes one car just to touch the grass ever so slightly. And then it's all hell's breaking loose. So... yeah, we'll see how Duffin gets on. Obviously, it's going to be difficult going into turn number 1, and it seems like a lot of drivers got a lot more pace underneath them. So I think the toe just helped him out perfectly at that point.
Yeah, he got it at like the perfect point. You don't want to get it through sector 1 and through Lesmos, because Lesmo's, it's very different per each driver. Everybody takes it differently. Like, some people may take the Apex more in Lesmo number 2, some people may not. But once you get down to Escari, if you get in that toe and down towards Parabolica as well, you get it perfect. You are getting a good lap time there. And Matthew Duffin got that on top. It's Matthew Duffin who lines up in P number 1 with Cairns P number 2, Snipe P number 3 with O'Reilly P number 4, McGowan P5, Nebo P6, Hooper P7, Sylph P8, Yo P9, Cal Seth rounds out the top 10, then Friedman, championship leader of Tardock by 1 point, Matt Wright, Leach, Langley, Carlos Hoffer, Bernie, John Goday, Varga, and I'm going to let you take us through the rest of it, Dan, because I accidentally clicked drive, so I can't see the rest of the grid.
So we've got Cummins, Ramsell, then we've got Millington in P23, Bolton 24, Marston 25th, 26th, Bell 27, Cherrymore 28th, Smith, Taylor, then Archer, Clarble, Aberdeen, Tipping, Starrock, Alton Racer, Johnson, Williams, and then Betterson to the back of the pack. That is your grid order, and we get things underway. Reminder as well, as I do every single start of the race, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you do not miss anything here at SimPlay Motorsport. Also, have a look at our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sport as well. They're all information in the bio, so make sure you have a look at all of that. And if you haven't done so, have a look at our Discord page, have a look at our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, making sure you do all that. And also, if you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, put down a reserve. If you want to be in the GT3s, either Pro or Pro-Am, you'll be obviously having to ask to do a hot stint, which will put you in the correct category. Based on your overall race pace over a few laps around Barcelona. Like I said, join the SimGrid, get yourself signed up, and also join our Discord if you want to be a Patreon as well. It's only £3 a month, and obviously with that £3 a month, you'll be able to reserve your race number. You'll get priorities of sign-up, so you'll be able to be one of the first to enter as a full driver, and also you'll get your social media automatically. Well, your streams especially will be automatically dropped into the Discord. If you do not have your subscription, then your streams will be automatically deleted. So you have to be a Patreon to have that priority, unless it's special events like a 24-hour charity race. And obviously as well, your social media will be posted onto the other social medias of SimPlay Motorsport, i.e. Instagram and Facebook, and so on and so forth. Right. Race 3, Lexi. I messed up. Didn't get that one last time round. I said McGowan, and you went for... I can't remember who you went for last time. I think you went for
O'Reilly. I got it correct.
Well, there you go. Going into race number 3, who are you looking at for this one?
Honestly, I'm gonna go Matthew Duffin. I'm gonna play boss bias. I'm gonna go bias for my boss. I'm gonna say Matthew Duffin.
Sorry, Matt, but you're cursed now. I'm going to go Sly on this one. He's looked good. He's looked competitive. He's just been there or thereabouts in the pace, but we shall see. It is a SimPlay Racing at the front with full send. Jod Lords at the front as well with Cranes alongside. This is going to be a very interesting race 3 as they now get themselves in a 2x2 formation heading down the Parabolica. The final race here tonight for the Whodarron Cup, and next round of the championship, we go from a circuit where you can't overtake to a circuit that is near enough impossible to overtake. We head to the Netherlands. We head to the home of Max Verstappen and the Orange Army. We go to the Netherlands for Zandvoort for the 3rd race of the season, and that race will be the first race of the season where the drop scores will take into effect. So it's Duffins and Cranes, front row of the grid, who is going to take the win here tonight. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to be notified so when we are live, you will know. And here we go. We now wait for the green here at Monza. Here we go. Final race of the night. Who's going to take it? And away we go here at Monza. And it's a relatively even start. If anything, Cranes has got a little bit of an advantage. And here we go. Snies in the toe. Heading down towards turn number 1. Duffin immediately defending. And there is also O'Reilly looking to try and go down between them. But Cranes later on the brakes. And already Chaos, Hooper and... Oh, and there we go. Cars off left, right and centre as the Helicam gets a majority of that. But Cranes gets the jump on Duffin as we try and look further back as well. And that was caused by Hooper and Yo making contact, and more cars off once again as we head now towards the first chicanes with Duffin going side by side with Cranes down towards the second chicane.
Yeah, down towards second chicane, they will go there. It's going to be up against each other as the ACC timing board takes its sweet time to update like it always does. Down at the second chicane into Lesmo number 1. Matthew Duffin is going to hold on to it. He will lead in this race as I have had a game moment. And yep, Dan, it's to you because I need to reconnect.
As we see there, Nebo now making a move on Cranes, and Cranes now dropping down the order as now Duffin tries to get away, but through comes Nebo looking to go around the outside of him, heading down to the Ascari chicane, and once again cars off left, right and centre. The 84 has returned back to the pit, 85 I believe that is, and the 85 is Taylor returning back to pit lane, but Duffin now extending the gap as he got Kneebone in that second position. Here comes McGowan now looking to attack Sylph as they head down towards the Parabolica. What else is going on further down the grid as there's a little bit of a gap as we see there Yo's on a recovery drive. He's got Ramsel just ahead behind him and everyone else into position. How is Lexi getting on with her game?
We are so back. Classic Series S, that's all I'll say. As right now, down towards Parabolic, it looks like Yo is going to get that move done. Yes, it is. Past Cummings. Nice and tidy. It looks like he's also going to go for a move on the driver of Marsden, who's right in front of him. Marsden looking for Cherry Moore. Up against them. Slipstream. No DRS because it's not a Formula 1 car. And that makes it even more interesting than it does in real life. Down the main straight, down towards the first corner, and it's going to be not as much chaos, hopefully. Dives it down the inside, late on the brakes. Does it? Yes, he does. Straight across into the grass. Marsden losing out there, without a doubt. Here comes Yo, here comes Terry Moore, and he is going to rejoin. And Yo actually did not get past him, but through Kerber Grande, down the inside. Yo now side by side with Marsden. Cherry Moore in front of him, free a square in a triangle, but he's not going to give it up yet. Marsden is going to be right there with him, down the inside.
Sorry.
Into Dante 2.
Sorry,
and there is
Lexi.
going to be slight contact between the two.
There's absolute chaos at the front. Cranes has dropped down the order. Kneebone has as well. So Sylph now up into that P2 position. And Duffin is long gone down the road. But now Sylph is on the move as McGowan. So Kneebone and Cranes looking like they've come in together. And they've dropped down the order.
Big one. Yeah, big one here on the exit of Lesmo number 1. P number 21. Cherry Moore on the exit of Lesmo number 1. Going a little bit too hot. Picking up the grass while the throttle is down. Takes out Yo in the process. Yo back to the pit lane, and two other drivers seemingly getting involved in that.
That looks like Fernie off, and he's in the middle of the circuit, and more cars. Absolute carnage going on the exit of the Parabolic. Who's that that's been collected? I think that might have been... Who was that? It's a gold-looking car. It wasn't Cranes, but meanwhile, out of the final corner, Kneebone under some pressure from Tordok up the inside, and job done by the listing. No, they're still side by side, as now McGowan sets the fastest lap of the race. Can he hunt down Duffin? That is the question. And now we got Leach also coming side by, or just in the toe of Tordok and Kneebone as they head down towards the chicane. And Kneebone, I think, slightly better on the brakes as he got the job done. Tordok just goes up the inside. They're giving each other racing room. Fair racing between the pair of them. Tordok on the gravel ever so slightly and losing out there to Kneebone. Great racing as Silt and McGowan need to work together now to hunt down Duffin, who's out on his own.
Yeah, most definitely, but it looks like that may not come into effect as he is going to be on the back. Is Sylph looking for it, goes to the outside line technically for this corner, without giving the inside for the next one. Up and under, goes for the switch. Leach on Tardok in the background as well. Off and into the gravel. Both go round. Almost takes out Sylph, I believe, or was that Cairns? They did take out
Carlos.
somebody in the process, so that is unlucky, and it's just chaos back here.
It is absolutely carnage, and there you got the Dapper Racing duo in the middle of all that as well, Hooper and O'Reilly, and with all that going on, they are really pushing the limits here as we got now Duffin heading towards the Ascari chicane, and it's ahead of McGowan, now Sylph, with Duffin clean out in front. He's looking to try and extend that gap as best he possibly can here, but O'Reilly with the fastest lap of the race. Absolute carnage in this third race once again, and Mike Matthews in the chat saying drivers do not learn. Hooper, what's happened to Hooper?
Very wide on Ascari. This may give O'Reilly an opportunity. So it looked like Hooper got away with that very marginally. He almost went into the barrier where it starts to tighten back on the circuit. So that was very lucky for Hooper in that moment. But that's a moment there. That is for the That is for CT. Tardok will fly through, as that is going to be, I believe that is actually, yeah, that's Bolton who is losing out there. So so slide on parabolic here. He loses out there. Here comes Tardok. He's going to lose out there to John Gooday, who's now up against him. Here comes Bolton as well, looking to try fly through in the process, but we're going to go for a square here. Hoffer's also there. Tardok late on the brakes, almost loses it. John Gooday's right there with him. Bolton sees if there's a gap, ends up not doing it, and they're taking the bollard with him apparently.
Another go through the Curva Grande, and it looks like Goudet will get the position. Tardok just seems to have a little bit of damage and just struggling at this stage. Meanwhile, Duffin's gap of 3.5 seconds has come down to 2.5, so Duffin's lost a second already, and McGowan is now on the hunt. He's actually dropped Sylph, so McGowan looks like he is on the move here. Kneebone in P4, a brilliant drive once again from him. Cranes in P5 with Leach in P6. Hooper now P7, ahead of O'Reilly, ahead of Varga, ahead of Carlos, and then that's your top 10 with Goudet, Bolton and Tardok all relatively close to one another.
So as Bolton is actually through Curva Grande and then down into Variante 2, it's actually Bolton got the double move done. So nice little bit of overspeed and a nice little slingshot out of Curva Grande to get past John Gooday there. So that is Bolton up into P number 11 now. John Gooday down into P number 12. Also now we've got Hoffer in P number 14 up against Tardok. He's on the inside as they head now down into Ascari. Takes a bit too much curve though. That undulates the car, loses the downforce, and Tardok gets away in that position. Good defence there. But like you were saying, the drivers up front are flying away with it. It seems to be a theme in this race. The top six, 7 and 8 seemingly get away for it, and then the rest of the field is just having an absolute skirmish with each other, trying to pick up every single point that they can, because of course only the top 30 do score points here, and with 38 cars on, and we have lost a car actually. We did have 38 cars, now we only have 37. So with so many cars on the grid this season,
Taylor, no Taylor's still in there, sorry, Karen.
There is a lot of people who are on this grid, and there's less chance of you getting points. As Hoffer right now on the outside, Tardok down the inside, heading into turn number 1. Tardok has got that move done, but now with that battle, Matt Wright, Steve Millington, Bell and Aberdeen have all now come into this fight. So while Tardok does lead this little train, he's got 4 cars astern of him.
Yeah, John Goudet now onto the attack. He's looking like he's passing a car there that looks like to be Langley, who's now been lapped, as Bolton now trying to stay ahead of Goudet at this stage. And Goudet has gone straight on at the chicane, and that's him losing momentum on him. Meanwhile, Duffin out in front, 2.3 ahead of McGowan. And McGowan will want to do everything he possibly can to creep onto the back of him. Sylph in P3 with Kneebone in P4. Cranes, meanwhile, still under some immense pressure from Gary Leach. Gary Leach now, has got past him, and also Hooper has gone through as well. So Leach and Hooper are going at it. We'll go on board with Cranes to see on board this action. Going up towards the Ascari chicane, and Leach tries to brake later and go around the outside of the first part of Ascari, but Hooper hits the curb, forcing Leach off wide. Leach keeps it together, and Cranes goes through, taking a little bit too much curb, but O'Reilly's there as well, and they're bouncing all over the curb, and Hooper gains out of all that, and Gary Leach losing out, and also Carlos is going to make it, I think, 3 wide, just behind with Varga and O'Reilly. So it's really hotting up as they head down towards the Parabolica.
Yeah, it was free abreast there momentarily.
Oh,
Big
Leach at the
double
moment.
there. Big wobble in Parabolica, and that is going to majorly cost Varga. That gives a big opportunity to slide through for Carlos. He's gone through that little bit, so he got away scot-free. O'Reilly just behind him. Also got Cairns just in front of him as well for full send Fjord Lords. And now down in turn number 1, here comes Gary Leach looking for it. Almost goes free abreast. Luckily enough, don't play it safe in the turn number 1. Two aside does work best, but he gets that move done. Follows through, does Varga. O'Reilly losing out 2 positions there. So it seems like race 1 and race 2's winners are not having the best of times right now. Hooper in P number 5. As it is O'Reilly now down into P number 10. It's a very bad race for it. It's a very bad race. Number 3 is going to be Leach, who is round. And no, Leach has got through. That is Carlos for MSA Racing, who is round there. And that is, that was maybe a little bit later on the brakes, or maybe just a little bit of netcode. It was hard to tell.
Carlos there having to wait until pretty much the pack is gone. He's waiting for a clear opportunity, but he's not going to get that. But meanwhile, again, Duffin still leads, but McGowan is hunting him down. 1.9 is the gap, and he's got fastest lap as well. So McGowan is on the move. Kneebone was on the back of Sylph, but it's just dropped off ever so slightly. And Hooper now trying to go with him. Crane's pulling away from Leach. And now we've got Varga ahead of O'Reilly, ahead of Bolton, ahead of Goudet, and then Tordok just behind them as well. But the fight is now with Varga and O'Reilly fighting for that P8 and 9 position.
Yeah, Carlos is dropping further and further down the grid. I'm going to try keep an eye on, see where he does end up. But Leach leading the pack as in this little fight. Wheel to wheel, side by side for P number 12 is going to be Hoffer and Tardok, as Hoffer actually does get that move done heading into Parabolica. Tardok is going to fight it back though on the inside, heading through onto the exit. Front row view for Matt Wright, who is going to look to take advantage eventually down the main straight, wheel to wheel, side by side, pink versus blue, and it's a lovely fight. It's CT Motorsport versus Ballbusters Racing, and it is down and under. Here comes Matt Wright though, nice little bit of slipstream there, taking his time, biding his opportunity. Down into turn number 1, Tardok will go for it, over the sausage curve a little bit. How will that play out for him? It looked like Matt Wright was going to go for the up and under. Did not work out for him either. Maybe sliding into the little gap. Moves across, does Hoffer slightly, trying to cover him off. Not going to work out that time. Here he comes, looking for it down the inside at Curva Grande. Does he have enough space to move over? But Hoffer does box him in. He finds a spot on the inside. Tardok versus Matt Wright down into the second chicane. Hoffer looked like he was going to go free abreast, but it's not advised. He knows better to do that, as Matt Wright actually goes and cuts the chicane, so could not get the rotation in, and he may lose out to Aberdeen here, but it looks like he just about keeps the position. Matt Wright, when it was a P12, back down to P number 14.
Yeah, just struggling there a little bit. Matt Wright going all over the curb, and once again, Kneebone has caught onto the back of Sylph here, and I believe the fastest lap has gone back to Snai again. So Snai outside the top 30, but he will gain a point for fastest lap as well, as Duffin now 2 seconds ahead of McGowan. That gap has seemed to just stabilize for a minute, as McGowan is trying his very best to bring that gap down as best he can. It's all about this fight for P8, 9, 10, 11, as you got Varga, Bolton, O'Reilly, Goudet, and Tordok is just ahead. Oh, sorry, just behind this gaggle of cars as well. That is Langley behind this group. And Bolton now just losing out to Varga, and it looks like O'Reilly is now coming on the attack.
Yeah, a little bit further back here as well. Aberdeen did go into the back of Matt Wright, going it down into Ascari, so he has now lost out a few positions. He is now down into P number 21. Behind old Sim Racer. Down the main straight once again, Hoffer and Tardok. It happens every single lap. Gap for the leader now down to 1.8 at the last timing zone. Down towards turn number 1 again, Steve Millington. So the Quantum boys have swapped positions to see who's watching this battle for P number 12 as it does currently stand. Millington is right there with him, goes across, does bail actually. So it seems like he is unable to get past there. Tardok is on the inside of Curva Grande, and it looks like it's going to be rinse and repeat from last lap, because Steve Millington goes there. It's going to go free abreast here on the exit of Curva Grande, and Tardok is on the inside. Surely one of them has to back out. None of them will, apart from Millington. up against each other on the exit, and they stay as they were. That got very sketchy there for a moment.
Very good observation from those three. Great driving from them. And Tordok still hanging in there as best he possibly can. Kneebone, once again, has creeped onto the back of Sylph, but can't do anything with it. Meanwhile, McGowan has dropped the gap to Duffin. It is now 8/10 with less than 5 minutes to go. McGowan is on the attack. Is Duffin able to hang on to this race win? That is the question as we now come towards the end of this race. 2 wheels there for Bolton, and he's still ahead of O'Reilly. But Tordok once again defending hard against Hoffner. Hoffner around the outside going into Ascari. They give each other room, and these two have been absolutely brilliant. But Tordok finally losing out, but Hoffner gets a little bit loose, and here comes the rest of the pack. Aberdeen there, is a lapped car. I don't know why he's getting involved, or is he? No, he is a lapped car. Yeah, but still, it's going to cause chaos here. And look, see contact there with Hoffner. He should not really be racing these cars, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it seems like he didn't really have an option, because if he let off, there was a possibility he may have caused more. So I think that's just an unfortunate thing. The overspeed, he had to take evasive action to ensure he didn't go into the back. 3 abreast now. Tardok, Aberdeen, and Bell's a little bit further back. So is that another lapped car in there? Because that is Hoffer, Tardok, and Aberdeen as Yo goes straight on. Aberdeen does go around the outside. So no, that is Bell actually. So Bell got past Aberdeen. So it's all over the place, these guys, and it's hard to keep up who is who, apart from these two, Tardok and Hoffer. They just keep on fighting each other. But big props to Steve Millington. He took full advantage, and now he's driven away with it. But right now, leader gap as well, down to 4/10. I'm keeping an eye on that mini-map, because down towards Ascari now, he is practically right on that bumper. You can imagine one mistake in Ascari, and Matthews' Duffin lead is gone. Into Ascari, they now go way too much curb. But it seems like he keeps it straight. Yellow flags as a car did RTG. How much overspeed is McGowan got to get here?
McGowan's had a great run, McGowan's had a great run out of Ascari. He's into the tow, and Duffin now has got a little bit of a tow from a lapped car behind as well. So McGowan now looking to possibly make the attack, going into the Parabolica. Probably not the best place to do it, because you will then give yourself a threat going into turn number 1, as we see Cherrymore getting right out of the way there. And McGowan now on the tow. We've now got 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go, so this is going to be the penultimate lap of the race, and McGowan is on the attack.
Yeah, most definitely on the penultimate lap. These drivers begin to fight, and it is now down towards turn number 1. I feel like, though, this is just speculation, but I think McGowan is gonna wait. He is not gonna go for the move on this lap unless he definitively has to.
Meanwhile, further back, Varga is attacking Bolton going in turn number 1, but he's not quite far enough alongside. Goudet staying out of trouble here, has gained some decent points. Meanwhile, Cummings is now getting past Tordok, so Tordok is just dropping down the order here. And just behind him as well, we got Friedman and Bell. Bell's missed the brakes and now hit the back of Cummings. And Cummings luckily keeps it together. Bell has to wait and allow. He can't get past Cummings, because that will be gaining an advantage. And he is going to keep the position. So Bell there, I'm not sure what's going on here. Friedman trying to go through.
We're going very wide at Lesmo number 2. I think it's over. Way too much overspeed in Lesmo number 2. Straight into the gravel. And I think that is it. He may even lose out P number 2 here, because Sylph is all over the back of him.
He is indeed, and Sylph now looking to do a possible P2 here, try and get the MSA boys back in a decent position here. Kneebone is not a million miles away. He's had to lap a car though, sadly, so he's lost a little bit of momentum. Hooper in P5, not really been able to do anything, but McGowan, a silly mistake there at the end of the race. And Duffin put all the pressure on. He's the one who didn't make any mistakes, and now he starts his final lap here. And we go further back. Bolton still ahead of Vargas, still ahead of O'Reilly, and Tordok once again trying to fend off a few cars as We've got a few cars dropping down the order a little bit. It's been absolutely chaos, but Snai, once again, it's got the fastest lap of the race. Drive-through penalties popping off left, right, and centre. That is Marston and Old Sim Racer, both drive-through for track limits by the looks of things. As now Sylph now comes on to the attack of... Sylph comes on the attack of McGowan.
Yeah, out of turn number 1. Big run there, actually. Big overspeed. So, this is going to be Sylph's last chance this lap. We're on the final lap, so he has to do it here, going down the inside of Curva Grande. He will have another chance at Ascari, it seems, but he's going to go for it here. He wants it done. Marsden comes in to serve his drive-through. I think it would have just been better to take the 30, but big contact, and that is going to send, well, not big, but that sends Sylph straight across, and Sylph just keeps going.
He does indeed, and Sylph there goes wide. Obviously, he was pushed off there, so McGowan now retakes that position back, and Sylph all over the dirt there. That's going to struggle to get it stopped, but he has managed to get it slowed down, and Hooper in the background really pushing to catch Kneebone towards the end of this race. It's going to be difficult to actually give a driver of the day because it's been completely chaotic. I think I've got one in mind already, but here Sylph looking to the outside of Ascari, not going to get the job there, I don't think, as McGowan, they get relatively close to one another, but McGowan just hanging in there. But we now look to Matthew Duffin, put it on pole position, has led pretty much majority of the race. He got passed by Cranes earlier on, but Matthew Duffin, what seemed to be a struggling night, and his championship contenders looking like they're getting caught up in all sorts of incidences. Duffin, meanwhile, exits the Parabolica and now gets himself in a good championship position. Duffin wins race number 3 here, just ahead of McGowan in P2, then Sylph, then Kneebone, Hooper with good points in the end, P5. Cranes is going to finish in P6. Leach with a good drive there in P7. Bolton is going to finish in that P8 position. Varga is just going to head over O'Reilly for your top 10. And Lexi, you can go through the rest of the order.
Yeah, we got a few drivers still to come. Millington now comes to the line. Hoffer's there as well. Old Sim Racer does come to the line, but he will have a drive. He has a drive for his. That'll be 30 seconds added on. So he's going to fall a bit further back down the order. Tardock.
He's dropped further back.
Yeah, he's dropped further back. Summit's. He's slowed right down. Hold on.
Oh,
I'm getting water temp 0, oil. Oh, geez, he just got punted. Yeah, I think he's out of fuel there. I tried to go into driver view, but I didn't really show much. But he did cross the line, so he's got it done. So Tardock is down there, so he's dropped further back. As Old Sim Racer, he has 30 seconds for our fix. Matt Wright, Sturrock, Cummins, Tardock, Aberdeen, Bell, Williams, Tipping, Archer, Johnson, Smith, Bettison, Marsden, Clarble, Snai and Ramsell still yet to come to the line. Yo has finished being lapped. Taylor there as well. Cherrymore and Fernie with Carlos rounding out the grid. This is the key thing though, and it's very clear. Tardock is no longer the championship leader.
No, after that race, probably not. And we will see once the tables have been updated. Obviously, Matthew Duffin coming to the end of that one. We will get a poll going for the driver of the day. But Lexi, let's get a rundown from yourself of tonight's racing at Monza. It's been a bit of a chaotic one, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to get straight to the point. I feel very sorry for the stewards. There's going to be a lot of hits. And I think it's been a very, very nice race. And you know what, Dan, let's get your perspective. Then we can get straight into an interview.
Straight into an interview? Have we got somebody in the...
Yes, we do. We have Race 3's winner.
We'll get to him in a minute. We'll get everything else done for a minute. But for me, it's been a bit of it's been a typical Monza night. Drivers driving stupid, aggressive, and just... It's a typical race night on a open lobby. A few questionable contacts from some drivers, some brilliant racing from others as well. Hofner and Tordok, in my mind, were absolutely brilliant. For yourself, Lexi, can you think of a particular driver for you that was driver of the day?
I mean, looking at the results, honestly, I'm going to go with Hooper. P number 5 in race number 3, but in the other races, he was on the podium. So he just got unlucky in qualifying for race 3. But I think, considering his other race results, I'd say I've got to give it to Tardok for my drive. I've got not Tardok. Where's he gone? That's CT Motorsport. I think he's left us over. The other. Where's he at? Bruh, names suck. The other. Yeah. I said his name. You know what? Yeah, Tardok. You know what, Tardok? I don't know what I was saying. It's Tardok.
Tardok driver of the day.
Yeah.
Is that where we go? Right, okay. For me, I'm going to have to go Hooper. Hooper was probably the best driver of the night, easily the most strongest, I think, and gained the most points as well. So for me, it has to be Hooper for a driver of the day. And obviously, we round things off here at Monza. Like I said, it's been a bit of a chaotic one nonetheless, but we now move to the third round of the championship. And when we go to the third round of the championship, obviously that is then going to be the next round where the drop scores start to take effect as well. So that's going to be an interesting one after that round as well. And the next round is in the Netherlands at Zandvoort. So that is going to be a very, very interesting night's worth of racing with very big grids and tight circuit, not easy to overtake. I think we could see a lot of incidences there. What do you think is going to happen at Zandvoort, Lexi? Because like I said, it's going to be a bit of a chaotic one.
I think this is the thing with Zandvoort. I think it will be a lot cleaner. I think it will be a lot cleaner than Monza. With Monza, it's straight line heavy braking, Whereas with Zandvoort, the track flows a bit better. You can go for overtakes round the outside, rather than just having to go for a dive down the inside or hope that you get it on a straight. So, Zandvoort is one of my favourite circuits to drive because it's an absolute roller coaster. It's basically a tiny Nordschleife surrounded by sand. So, Zandvoort is one of my favourite circuits, and I'm really looking forward to that one. And especially with these GT4s, those cars are going to be zipping around that circuit. It's a shame that the BTCC is confined to Britain because, oh my god, I'd love to see those cars go around there. But we don't get BTCC. We get to see the Whodarron Cup race there next week, and it is going to be the Ginetta GT4s.
It is indeed, and we do have Matthew Duffin in the chat, currently at the minute putting in the tables himself. So we'll just give him a few more minutes while we're waiting for that to happen. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified. What's still yet to come this week of racing? We've got the Pro-Ams tomorrow night with myself bringing you all the action here for Monza. It's going to be another chaotic night's worth of racing. We'll see how they get on. We'll see how much of a drama that is going to cause. But also Sweet and Sticky in your box coming up later on Thursday as the pros will then take for it. And obviously we got a new reverse grid system coming up as well. So make sure you tune in for that, as the pros will be split, as will the Pro-Ams, and with the reverse grids will be slightly to be in the sprint. So we'll see how that will go. So Matthew, how are we getting on? Are you all done?
Just sorting the tables out now and done.
And any other drivers who are listening into the stream right now, if you do want to come in for an interview, and you finished in the top 3 in the 3 races, then feel free to drop in. Lexi, I will leave the interview to you.
Matthew Duffin, you already know this. You are live on SimPlay Motorsport YouTube channel. Very good race 3. Of course, you were in a battle towards the end, but your contender for the win, of course, going very deep at Lesbo number 2 into the gravel. Talk us through it, that race number 3, pole to the win, and just talk us through the race as a whole, because, of course, race 1 would have been very different to race number 3 for you.
Yeah, cheers. Shocked to get the pole position to start with. Didn't think we had the pace tonight with the 25 kilograms of ballast. It was really hitting the car, so chuffed to get the pole position. Don't normally see myself on pole, Dan will be able to tell you that. But yeah, no, the race was good. Got a good start. Side by side with Cairns into turn 1 and 2. Went through the second chicane. He went a little deep, so we got a poor run, managed to get past him, and then he struggled the rest of that opening lap, so he fell into the field. And I think that really helped me massively, because I think if McGowan had got through a bit quicker, I think he'd have had me. He just ran out of time and then, like I said, made that mistake. But no, solid race 3, solid race 1 as well, to be fair. You know, come past a couple of cars, made some good moves, raced to a bit of a one to, you know, comeback drive, but one to sort of forget. But no, solid night, gotta be happy.
Yeah, and of course, Teams Championship is also there. What's it like with the team at the moment? Because of course, very different races across the board. So has there been like any talk during the little breaks about strategy? Of course, it's a sprint to the line, but like, was there anything like if we end up fighting each other to let a certain driver past?
No, we ended up fighting in race 2, and you know, we just fought. There's no rules. We're just fighting each other. I think Rob. I think this year you can obviously see with the gold, the silver, and the bronze category. Obviously, I'm teaming with Rob Ramsell, silver driver, who's, you know, getting better as weeks go by. He's getting caught up in incidents, but his pace improving. So no rules really as such. You know, if Rob wants to let me go, that's his prerogative. I'll fight him like I'll fight anybody else. You know, I've fought Gary long enough over the last couple of seasons where we've made contact hard enough as my teammate before, so I'll do the same with Rob. There's no orders for me to be ahead of Rob. There's nothing like that. But no, it's good hard fighting, good hard racing. Teams doing, you know, obviously bronze and gold and silver driver teaming together. So we're not looking at winning the teams championship. We're just looking at trying to be, you know, up there and in the mix a little bit. I think that you've got the MSA and the Dapper Racing boys. I think are the two that's going to run away with it with the 2 golds. But no, it's solid night. Rob's just been unlucky tonight, it sounds like, but obviously we'll go back, we'll look at it, and we'll sort of review what's what and go from there.
Yeah, speaking of going from there, Zandvoort next week, very different circuit, very different type of setup that is going to be on the car. Has there already been like some setup in the pre-season, or is it going in blind over the next week?
Not really going in blind as such. We did it when we did the GT4s, the 6 weeks of GT4s, the second season of them, a couple of seasons ago. I won around there in one of the races, I think, with 40 kilos of ballast. So we've kind of got a good car already. Obviously, the pace has massively improved since then, so we may have to work on it and just get back to it. But it's just going to be another week on the drawing board and, you know, trying to just improve. And these lads are very, very tough. You've got at least... You've got a good handful of drivers, at least I'd say 9 or 10 drivers can easily take a win, a pole position, podiums this season. You know, none other than defending champ O'Reilly. You got Sylph in there, and Tarlock as well, Will Friedman, great driver. Darren Yo seems to have come on, as does Snai a lot this season, so it's great to see them boys. McGowan, Gary Leach is always one to mention as well in these cars. So it's a tough grid, work's got to be done in the week, and we'll see what happens.
Well, fair enough. Dan, would you like to ask any more questions, or are we done with the interview?
I think we're pretty much done with that one, mate, as we come to an end here at Monza. Congratulations to Matt on the race win. Also, a massive congratulations to Hooper and O'Reilly earlier on as well. Both Dapper Racing boys taking wins themselves. It's been an absolute chaotic night worth of racing, but that is that. We now look to head to the Netherlands, the home of Max Verstappen, for the next round of the championship. We head to Zandvoort, but from myself and Lexi, that is it for Monza. We shall see you all next week at Zandvoort. Good night.